Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up because what happened on The View yesterday has already broken the internet and sent shockwaves through daytime television. The headline screaming across every gossip site and news outlet right now is simple but explosive. Joy Behar quits The View after an absolutely brutal on-air exchange with none other than Robert Irwin, the 21-year-old son of the late Steve Irwin. Yes, you heard that right. The same sweet kid who grew up on our screens feeding Crocs and charming the world just went toe-to-toe with Joy Behar in a segment that started innocently enough about Australian wildlife conservation and ended with Joy storming off the set, ripping off her mic, and reportedly telling producers she's done for good. Social media is on fire, clips are racking up tens of millions of views, and people are picking sides faster than you can say crikey. The moment everyone is talking about happened when Robert, who was a guest promoting his new wildlife documentary, politely corrected Joy after she made what many are calling a dismissive and ignorant comment about Australian animals and the Irwin family legacy. What started as a light-hearted chat turned into a masterclass in how quickly things can go south when someone underestimates a guest who has literally wrestled crocodiles since he was in diapers. By the end of the segment, Joy's face was redder than a funnel web spider. Robert stayed calm but firm, and the audience was left stunned as Whoopi Goldberg tried in vain to steer the sinking ship back to calm waters. Sources inside ABC say Joy was screaming backstage that she's not coming back to be lectured by a child and that this was the final straw after years of tension with both guests and co-hosts alike. Let's set the scene properly so you understand exactly how we got here. Robert Irwin was invited to The View to talk about his new National Geographic series and the conservation work he's continuing in honor of his father. Everyone expected the usual cute segment full of baby kangaroo photos and Joy making her trademark sarcastic quips. Maybe a light joke about how Steve Irwin was crazy for wrestling Crocs. That's exactly how it started. Joy opened with, "Your dad was fearless, or maybe a little nuts. Who gets that close to those monsters?" And the audience chuckled because that's classic Joy. Robert smiled the same wholesome smile we've seen a million times and said, "Actually, Dad always said respect and understanding are what kept him safe, not fearlessness." Perfect answer, polite, educational, exactly what you want from a guest. But then Joy pushed it. She rolled her eyes and said something along the lines of, "Come on, let's be real, half the stuff your dad did was for ratings. It wasn't all pure conservation, right?" The room went quiet. You could literally hear the air leave the studio. Robert, still smiling but now with steel behind his eyes, responded, "With all due respect, Joy, my father died doing what he loved while filming a documentary to teach people about ocean conservation. Every risk he took was to show the world these animals deserve protection, not exploitation." The audience started clapping, slowly at first, then louder. Joy tried to laugh it off, but you could tell she was rattled. She doubled down and said, "Oh honey, I'm twice your age. I watched your dad when you were in diapers. Don't lecture me about what was real and what was TV." That's when Robert dropped the hammer everyone is replaying on loop. Robert looked her dead in the eye, still polite but now ice cold, and said, "Joy, I've been handling venomous snakes since I was 4. Feeding crocodiles larger than this table since I was 9, and I've spent my entire life continuing work that helped save entire species from extinction. I may be young, but I've earned the right to defend my family's legacy from anyone who wants to reduce it to aerating stunts, twice my age or not." The studio erupted. People were on their feet. Whoopi's mouth was actually hanging open. Sunny Hostin looked like she was about to cry from second-hand pride. Alyssa Farah Griffin just kept nodding like "Yes king, read her." Joy tried to interrupt, talking over him with the classic "Well, I'm entitled to my opinion," but the audience was booing now, actual boos on The View, something that almost never happens. Robert didn't raise his voice once he didn't need to. He just kept that same calm, confident energy. Steve Irwin DNA energy that reminded everyone exactly whose son he is. Then he turned to the audience and said, "My dad taught me that the most dangerous animal in the world is an ignorant one, and I think we all just saw proof of that." The place lost it. People were screaming. Joy's face turned purple. She yanked off her mic, threw her cards on the table, and stormed off set while the cameras were still rolling. Producers cut to commercial in pure panic mode while the audience kept cheering for Robert like he'd just won an Olympic gold medal and dragging. Backstage reports say it was absolute chaos. Joy allegedly screamed at a producer, "I'm not coming back to be disrespected by a 21-year-old zookeeper on my own show," and then locked herself in her dressing room. Robert, meanwhile, stayed on set during the commercial break, calmly taking selfies with audience members and signing autographs like nothing had happened. When the show came back from break, Whoopi had to do damage control solo, saying, "Well, Joy had a family emergency and had to step away, but let's keep talking to this lovely young man." The rest of the panel tried to pivot back to the wildlife documentary, but the vibe was gone. Everyone knew what they'd just witnessed. By the time the show ended, #JoyQuits was trending worldwide. Robert Irwin was being called a legend and the most polite assassin in history, and memes of Joy storming off were everywhere. Within hours, TMZ and Page 6 were reporting that Joy told executives she's done, that she refuses to return if this is the kind of ambush she has to deal with, and that she feels the show has lost its way by booking guests who don't respect the hosts. Insiders say contract talks had already been tense. Her deal was up for renewal soon, and this blow-up might have been the final push she needed to walk away after 27 years. The internet, predictably, has crowned Robert Irwin the undisputed king of the day. Clips of the exchange have over 80 million views combined already, and the slow-motion replay of Joy ripping off her mic is being used in reaction videos everywhere. People are calling it the most satisfying takedown since Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. But classy. Gen Z is obsessed, saying Robert just proved that quiet confidence beats loud outrage every time. Meanwhile, Joy's critics are having a field day, pointing out that this isn't the first time she's clashed with a guest and stormed off or made tone-deaf comments. Supporters of Joy are claiming she was ambushed and that Robert was rude for calling her ignorant on live TV, but that side is getting absolutely ratioed into oblivion. Even some of Joy's longtime co-hosts seem to be distancing themselves. Meghan McCain tweeted a crocodile emoji and the word crikey, which everyone took as shade. ABC hasn't officially commented yet, but rumor is they're scrambling because losing Joy, love her or hate her, is a massive shakeup for a show that's already been struggling in the ratings against newer, edgier daytime competitors. Some are saying this might actually be a blessing in disguise for The View, a chance to refresh the panel with younger blood, while others think it's the beginning of the end for a format that's been on life support. So where do we go from here? Will Joy really quit for good? Or is this another one of her famous "I'm leaving" moments that ends with her back at the table next week acting like nothing happened? Will Robert Irwin get invited back as a hero? Or will ABC blacklist him to save face? One thing is crystal clear. A 21-year-old Australian wildlife warrior just walked into the lion's den of American daytime television, politely eviscerated one of its biggest personalities without raising his voice, and walked out looking like the second coming of his father. The View may have lost Joy Behar yesterday, but Robert Irwin gained an army of new fans who now see him not just as Steve Irwin's kid, but as a grown man more than capable of carrying the torch and shutting down anyone who dares disrespect the family name. If this is indeed Joy's final episode, she went out not with a whisper, but with a mic drop heard around the world, literally. And somewhere up there, Steve Irwin is looking down, smiling that big goofy grin, proud as ever of the son who just proved that the real dangerous animals aren't in the outback, they're sometimes sitting at talk show tables thinking they can't be touched.